Hey guys, it's Jexie. Welcome back to another video. I'm super excited to chat with you. I get really excited making these videos. I thought today maybe we could discuss what it's like when we hear about celebrities dealing with addiction and recovery, how it affects the recovery community as a whole, and some of the difficulties I think that celebrities in recovery have compared to the rest of us. So when we talk about celebrities in recovery, there's really like a super wide range of topics we can discuss. So I thought we kind of like just touch on a little bit of a bunch of different things. So the first is, I think that one of the reasons that we see regular people in recovery afraid to kind of speak out and share their experience is the way that we see what happens when celebrities talk about addiction. Although a lot of them get a lot of support, we do see a lot of people throw it back in their face. For example, very recently, Demi Lovato has been in the news a lot, especially on social media. You know, she apparently made some comment on Twitter yesterday, the day before, against a rapper. And literally it was like a very small comment about laughing about his situation or something. You know, and look, whether you agree with it or not, it's irrelevant. But what happened was a lot of people on Twitter then started throwing the fact that she's a drug addict in her face. And I think that that's really difficult. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of us do become afraid of when we are open and we speak about being in recovery, is that if we do something wrong or we're caught judging somebody or we speak out against somebody else, it's the fact that we're drug addicts going to be thrown in our face. And, you know, that's a reality, and it does happen. Demi Lovato was very open about her original experience with addiction, and she had been in recovery for quite some time before her relapse, I think sometime last year. And she actually put out a song called Sober, which I think really did a good job of conveying the feelings that people go through when they initially relapse, that like self-disappointment that they feel. And I think music is one way in which we see celebrities able to express addiction in a really great way. Macklemore is another one. He has two songs. He has Other Side, which if you've never heard, I think it's a really, whether you like his music or not, I think the way that song is done really describes the feelings of addiction. When you're in the grips of addiction, you can feel that through his music. And after he had a relapse, he did another song called Starting Over. And in the lyrics of it, in one spot, he says, if I can be an example of getting sober, then I can be an example of starting over. And I think that that's something that takes a lot of courage. We see a lot of celebrities who end up in rehab. It's not a very uncommon thing. We associate celebrities with this party lifestyle, this drug use lifestyle, and when we see them go into rehab, we don't really think much of it. The fact is that a lot of those celebrities, when they do get clean and they're going back and they're doing their regular life, we don't hear a lot about their day-to-day struggles as being a celebrity in recovery. I can imagine, just basing it off my own experience, that being in recovery as a celebrity has probably got to be difficult. I've heard over and over again that one of the problems Eminem had when he got clean was that he couldn't go to 12-step program meetings, even though that's what he was using to stay clean, because you're a celebrity and you show up at a meeting, forget anonymity, right? People are going to be amazed that you're there and they're going to want to talk to you. And I think that's unfortunate. You know, 12-step programs are anonymous for a reason. There's a reason that we don't use last names. There's a reason that what we do in the outside is not supposed to transfer through into meetings, because people need a place to recover and to share their experience without who they are mattering. And I don't think that celebrities have the ability to sit through meetings in the same way that we do. They're under a lot more scrutiny than the regular everyday person is when it comes to recovery. You know, there's paparazzi, and a lot of people are very interested in what they're doing, or are they on the right track? Are they doing the right thing? And I can imagine as a celebrity, relapsing is gonna be ridiculously hard. It is really, really hard for a regular person who relapses. And as a celebrity, when you're under the public eye and everybody's judging you anyway, I can imagine that when you relapse, like, forget that feeling of failure must be so amplified. The one celebrity that I think did a lot of positive for a very negative reason for the recovery community was Corey Monteith. Many people know him as the actor who played Finn in the show Glee. Glee was a show that was popular for a lot of high school kids and younger. Obviously adults liked it too, but the general audience of the show was much younger. And as opposed to, say, a celebrity like Eminem, regardless of his age, because of the language used in his music, it was more adult themed. People expected that he was an addict. It wasn't that surprising. Corey Monteith looked like your all-American sweetheart type kid. He was in his early 20s. I think he was in his early 20s. I'll find out for certain. Good-looking guy, like, not your typical addict. Like, you would not look at him and think, oh, that guy's a drug addict. You know, he looked like one of those guys on the straight and narrow, and his character on TV was a guy who was on the straight and narrow. He was quarterback of the football team, and he played this, like, super all-American good guy. And then he overdosed, and he died. And that brought the topic of addiction and heroin and overdosing to most families' kitchen tables in a way that it hadn't before. We had high school kids who were now really talking about overdosing, middle school kids who were talking about heroin. I think it shocked our country, the people in it, in a way that other celebrity deaths hadn't. You know, when we hear about somebody overdosing and dying, if you're not an addict and you don't know, your general thoughts are like, well, you know, that's what happens when you're a drug addict. But when you see somebody who looks like your normal, regular, everyday person, and you find out that they've overdosed on heroin, or I think it was heroin, it could have been painkiller, whatever opiate it was, it makes it a lot more real. It means that it could happen to anybody. Just because somebody looks like they've got their stuff together doesn't mean that they're not addicted to something. And so the idea that regular people can be addicts really was like front and center. And so I think that with celebrities, you know, the same way that I want to be able to speak out about my experiences with recovery and addiction, I can see why for celebrities that becomes very difficult. You know, we want celebrities to stand up and say, like, hey, like, I've had a drug problem and now I'm in recovery and I'm doing better. But when we see them fall down, when we see them relapse, we assume that their recovery program failed. Most people don't know the day-to-day struggles of recovery. So, look, I think that as much as we judge celebrities and we say, like, oh, well, you know, there they are again using drugs or whatever, I think as regular people, we need to be very careful about how we publicly judge celebrities, because our friends and family will take the comments that you say about celebrities and apply it to how you must feel about me. For example, if I hear my close friends saying, like, well, screw Demi Lovato, that's her problem, she used drugs, she made bad choices, too bad for her, I'm going to assume then, if I relapse, that that's going to be your feelings towards me, even though that may not be the case. So I think that we should be cautious with how we approach celebrities. Demi Lovato was bullied off of Twitter. She was so hurt by the fact that her being a drug addict was thrown in her face that she shut down her Twitter account. Now look, do I have any personal feelings about Demi Lovato? No, she's just a celebrity. We're not friends. I don't know her. I don't even really follow her that much, but I can understand the feeling of, like, look, we're disappointed enough in ourselves to get that disappointment and that letdown from those outside, people who don't even know the struggle. That's hard. So look, if you take away anything from this video, what I would say is this: you don't know what it's like to be an addict if you're not an addict. You don't know how hard recovery is until you're in recovery. The same way that I can't possibly know how hard it is to have cancer or have diabetes because I don't have that experience. So I try not to judge others. I try not to judge things I don't understand. And sure, I may judge other people's recovery programs, but I try to understand that they're a person who's dealing with a disease. And it's hard. Again, I think we need to start lifting each other up. I think those of us in recovery need to make sure that we're not being too harsh on celebrities, because our people in our lives are looking to us. They're looking to see, how is it that we respond to others? How do we respond when we find out someone relapsed? If they see us being harsh on that person, they're going to be way less likely to tell us when that happens. And we don't want to scare people away. Someone relapses, they need our help. We need to be open and we need to be accepting. So just for today, let's try to love each other, like, just a little bit more. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I look forward to talking to you all on Friday. Have a great day.